So you want to make a vintage beat like J. Cole for completely free? Well, I got you. Today I'm going to make this vintage beat with 0 paid VSTs and 0 paid plugins in the door FL Studio. Now if you don't have FL Studio, maybe you can apply some of the gems into your own door, but this is intended for FL Studio. If you don't have FL Studio, you can download the demo of FL Studio. I'll put that in the description. You're not allowed to open projects, but you can of course save them. Now I actually recorded this entire video of me making the beat, but I didn't record the sounds of the music, so it was just me talking for half an hour. So that's great. Very happy about that. So I'm basically going to break down exactly what I did, which is what I was doing anyway. So first things first, I use labs predominantly in this beat. So if we pull up this here, I use labs, and the preset that I used was the tape piano magnetic reader. Now I really love how this sounds, so I'm going to take off my effects for this and just play it. It's really nice. So these are the chords that I come up with. We've got a minor chord here, and then I cut these two notes as sort of like a melody. Again, a minor chord, so the progression goes G, D, A sharp, F, D. This chord here is a major chord, and so is this chord. So the beat is in D minor, but I switched from a minor to a major chord to give it more of a nostalgic feel, which I found really works well in the J. Cole type beats. So we're going to take a listen to this. As well as that, I hit Control A, then Alt R to randomize the velocities. This gives it a more humanized feel. After that, I hit Control A, Alt S to strum some of the patterns. Like this is heavily strummed, this isn't as much, and then I surgically moved some of these out of the grid to give it more of a natural, realistic feel, which is what we're going for here. I can't believe I actually forgot to record the music in the music. Oh, fuck's sake. But anyway, sorry, I'm getting distracted. And then I added some notes in the middle here to create like some like rhythm to it, like a melody. So yeah, this is how it is. I'll play it from the start for you to listen to. So these are pretty simple chords with just additions in the middle to make it more interesting. After I created the chords, I took all these bass notes, which is just the root note, so the bottom note of the chord, like this. The root note of a G minor chord is G, because it's a G minor chord. So yeah, I put these down to just give it more of like a low end feel. And then I completely cut out all of the low end because I wanted to make room for my actual bass. But it still has a nice effect if you go ahead and listen. So we're going to open up the mixer track here, and we've got this EQ. So basically I've cut out most of the bass and some of the high end, because the high and low frequencies aren't very vintage, but when you cut them, it creates more of a vintage style. Now the next plugin that I added is Sparkz Origin. Now if you've watched any of the other videos, you know I'm a strong advocate for this plugin, and I absolutely love how it works. It's called Sparkz Origin. It's completely free, again in the description. This basically degrades your sound and adds filters to it to make it sound more unique and vintage. So I added the movement by 11%, a tiny bit of saturation, and no vinyl effects because the preset, the VST, already had some of that vinyl effect. Now there's 0 chorus on this as well, and this is put down to 8,508 hertz. So that basically cuts a lot of the sound to make it more rough and vintage. So we're gonna go take a listen with these two effects. So hopefully you can notice that it sounds a little wobbly and more old school, more sounding like a J. Cole type beat. Again, I added the next plugin, which is also completely free. This is called Vinyl by iZotope. I think it's iZotope anyway. Yeah, it says it right there. iZotope Vinyl. So I added a tiny bit of mechanical sound, as you can see. There is barely any. So yeah, literally just a tiny bit of mechanical to make it sound like it's being played on a vinyl, which is the point of this plugin. I put it to the 1960s preset and put the wear to 3% because I didn't want it to be too like choppy, too out of it. Yeah, don't want it to be wearing too much or whatever. Like, bro, I don't know what I'm talking about. So yeah, this is what it sounds like with all the effects together. Very, very, very nice. So I'm not going to play the whole thing every single time, but we're going to go ahead and move on to the next instrument. Now, the next instrument I use is the Ample Guitar M Lite, which was also featured in one of the previous videos. This is a free plugin of an acoustic guitar. So I went ahead and added my underwater preset, which I've got here. Now, you can copy this preset if you like. I'm just going to put them all on the screen and then slowly explain what they're doing. So basically, I'm trying to make it seem like, well, it's called underwater for a reason, because I want it to sound like it's underwater and far away. I want it to be more like an accent sound rather than one in the foreground. So what I'm doing is basically cutting a lot of these frequencies and making them sound how it would sound underwater. That's basically the main goal of why all these plugins exist. If you really want a video on what all the plugins do in FL Studio, especially the stock ones, I can do that for you, probably like a whole series. Also, I know this video, I seem like I'm talking very fast and there's a lot of information. If at any point you feel confused, you feel free to go backwards, slow it down, and yeah, just drop a comment if you're confused. Let me know and I can help you out. I'll reply to every single comment. Don't worry. Let's go on to the third sound next. Now, oh wait, you know what? Let's listen to it first. So we're going to listen to it on its own. So it sounds like this. Now, these notes, all I did was follow notes that were inside of the chords to create a kind of like counter melody. Sometimes I would copy like straight up like these two notes I copied, but some were counter, but they were still part of the chord. As you can see, this is kind of off the scale because we're in the D minor scale. So yeah, let's take a listen with the guitar. Now, I really wanted the guitar to be more of an accent rather than something that was driving the song. So let's move on to the third instrument. Once again, I loaded up Labs. This time I looked for a synth. This is one of the classical synths preset, and it's called the Dust Collector. Let's play this without. So, oh yeah. So I basically, all I did was literally copy the chords onto this sound and simplify them because I just wanted it to be like a layer, like a pad. Like if you'd use in a trap beat, you'd use a pad. So let's go onto this and remove all the effects and let you listen. And then let's listen with the effects. Now, as you can hear, it's got more of that vintage sound after I've added the effects. First, I added an EQ, which cut out the low and high ends. And then I added the vinyl plugin once again with similar settings as before. I didn't add any mechanical sound because once you add mechanical sound, it plays throughout the whole song. So if I just do this, even without the beat playing, you can clearly see that there's sound coming out. So this sound will be prevalent over the entire beat. So if you have multiple plugins with multiple sound, like if you use Sparkz Origin and then vinyl and they both had the vinyl effect, they both would stack up and play over the entire song. So that's why I try and keep them to a minimum. So yeah, so that's the third sound. Now let's listen to it in conjunction with the rest of the sample so far. Sounded very clean. Now at this point of the beat, I would probably go over to Splice and add in one of the vocal samples. But obviously this beat is how to make a vintage beat. Obviously this video is how to make a vintage beat for absolutely free. So I'm not going to use any paid things. So once again, I loaded up Labs, coming in clutch, of course. Let's solo this. And then I found the garlic, that's not garlic, whatever that says, voices. And I went to the as preset, and then I messed with some of these. So I ever increased or decreased it? What is it a default? I think I increased it. I increased the distance a lot because I wanted this to be way far away from the rest of the beat. I wanted the beat to be here and then the vocals to be here. So then they'd kind of like stack. Don't know what the fuck that means. So then release, I turned this up as well because I kind of wanted the sound to drag onto the other sounds so it sounded more realistic. And then I laid out notes. I was mainly trying to follow the top notes of the chords, but some of them aren't. Some of them are just what my ears told me to do, which is 90% of how I make beats. So yeah, let's take a listen to this on its own without the effects. So let's turn these off. So yeah, that sounded really nice as it is. But then again, I added I added effects to give it that vintage feel. How many times have I said vintage in this video? Comment and I'll give you a thumbs up. So again, I added a similar EQ, cutting out the lows and high ends for the same reasons as before, and added Cymax Origin, but this time I didn't cut it halfway. So obviously you can see this knob in the middle is not halfway, it's more at 22 kilohertz. That's because it cut way too much of the sound that I wanted, because this was meant to be more of like a top high-end sound to fill in the higher frequencies to make the beat seem more full. As well as this, I added a tiny bit of chorus and a lot of movement. 28% is quite a lot of movement. So yeah, we're going to listen to this now and see what it sounds like. So you can kind of hear the effects coming into play there with the wobble and stuff. So now we're going to play them all together and see what our sample sounds like. This is sounding really clean. So the next thing that I did, well, the final thing I did for this sample, because I didn't want to make the video too long, but obviously, you know, it doesn't matter now because I'm stupid, man. I'm stupid. Why did I just not? Okay, whatever. This is, guys, this is why you double check what you're doing before you start doing it. Make sure everything's working. I literally have my schedule over there that says half an hour to make sure everything's set up properly. I specifically got half an hour and I was like, you know what? I just want to get into it because I'm excited. But whatever. So we got the bass here. The bass doesn't really have anything on the plugin side of things. So all I did for this bass was essentially just copy all of the root notes. The root notes are the bottom notes of the chords, which usually sound good for the bass. So I copied these notes out and then I chopped them to give them like a rhythm. So let's hear what it sounds like. Now you'll notice here that there's a really small bit of the guitar that's a very low velocity. This is to give it way more realism, like someone's actually playing the guitar. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so let's listen to that with the beat. Once again, that was a free plugin. It's called Ample Bass Lite. It's featured in one of my previous videos as well. Very cool. You know, when I use the webcam and it's just me like right, whatever. I don't know what I'm doing. So yeah. So then we went on to the drums next. So I started out with a hi-hat. Pretty basic hi-hat. What I did is I went over to here, I right-clicked, clicked fill each 4 steps. Then you would go into the piano roll, hit Control A. You know what, I'm just gonna I will redo the hi-hats just to demonstrate this point. So go over here, click each 4 steps, then go into your piano roll. You want to hit Control A, then you want to hover over a note, drag it to in the middle, so it's like this, then hold Alt and scroll down. Then we're going to randomize this like the rest, which is Alt R. And what I've done there is I've alternated the velocity between each hi-hat to give it some swing. Then I've added a randomizer to humanize it. So sounds like that, sick. So then I brought in a snare. Now, the most important thing with making beats is sound selection. So you really need to focus on what sounds you're using and try and get those old school vintage sounds. So I stacked 2 snares on each hit, which sounds really clean. Then I got this open hat kick. And then the main kick. Yeah, this is sounding really nice. And then I arranged it in a way that all the instruments built up in the start. So when I make beats, I like to introduce most of the instruments in the beginning and then cut them all away for the drop so the drums can hit way harder, and then slowly introduce them throughout the beat again. For the intro of the beat, I also added this drum fill. A little dramatic, but let's listen to it in the beat. Message from God like address me, Lord. They're trying to play me on this 64 squares, the checkerboard. So yeah, this beat sounded really, really cool. Yeah, so I went ahead and arranged it. I automated at the start the volume a little bit. I made it a little bit quieter for the intro, and then when it drops, a tiny bit louder. Not so much that it's gonna blow up someone's speakers, but like enough to make people go, "Whoa, that drop was sick." You know what I'm saying? That's what I like to do. So yeah, it was such a shame that you guys couldn't join me making this beat. But I promise I will do another video where I create a beat with you guys. It sucks. So I hope you got some gems from this video, and if you want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe. Right, so yeah, I don't care, man. If you enjoyed it, like and subscribe. If you didn't, whatever, it's fine, bro. Yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Okay, that's it, right? This is done. Okay, there's probably more that I could add to this beat, but I want you to start making some music. Let's go.